Welcome to our drive-in theater. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you, one that will provide several hours of pleasurable relaxation and diversion for you and your family. Did you fail to dress up for tonight's show? No tie, an old shirt and slacks, a house dress? Well, don't give it a thought. We're glad you came as you are.
It's Driveway Drive-In with your hosts, Adam and Paul. Welcome to the Monster Home.
The preview you are about to watch is for a movie that is unlike any you have ever seen before. It is for a movie that goes beyond temporary fear to everlasting terror. It is a movie called Demons. Yes, the demons are coming, and they're coming for you. Warning. If you have the courage to see demons, sit near an exit. Otherwise, you might never get out. In your theater, who will survive the touch of the demons and who will not? Demons. With music by Billy Idol, Motley Crue, The Adventures, Rick Springfield, and Saxon. This is no dream. This is happening right now. And it could be happening to you. Demons. They will make cemeteries their cathedrals, and the cities will be your tombs. Will you survive it? Demons.
Welcome to Driveway Drive-In. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Adam.
And today we are reviewing Lamberto Bava's Demons from 1985. Demons is the first of a series of films. We'll talk a little bit about its legacy a little bit later on. And was co-written by Bava and Dario Argento. And Bava happens to be the son of Mario Bava, who gave Dario Argento his start. And
Lamberto Bava?
Yes, Lamberto.
Lamberto. Okay, I won't pronounce that correctly.
I'm not either, but I'm not Italian, so I guess I'll be corrected later on.
You were saying when this movie first started, when we first pressed play, that Lamberto was the assistant director of Cannibal Holocaust, right? Yeah.
So that was like one of his very first cinematic experiences, apart from being a child on the set of his dad's movies. Yeah, he was an AD on Cannibal Holocaust, which, if memory serves me correctly, that is the basis of our friendship, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say, because I'm confident that we're never, ever going to get around to a Cannibal Holocaust podcast, since, I don't think either one of us want to watch that one again.
No. That's a safe assumption.
I think that there's a cutoff point for that film, and I think once you get into your 30s and 40s and you're like, yeah, do I really need to watch this again? It's a one and done for me.
Yeah, it's a one
kind
and
of
done
always
for
has
me.
been.
One and done for me, too. In fact, when we first met, my wife introduced us because she hates horror movies and wanted me to have someone to discuss them with. So we met at like some function. You worked with my wife, right?
Yeah, she was like an assistant to like our head boss, basically.
Yeah.
And me and her got along and would send each other like stupid emails and crack each other up. And she was just like, you have to meet my boyfriend, Paul. And then, it was a weird kind of like a setting up a play date, like between two toddlers.
Yes.
And it was kind of like, okay, well, how are we going to know if we're going to like get along? So I remember saying something to your wife, like, have him like lend me a movie. Like, let me see what kind of movies he's into. And that was the one that I got. I think we actually would challenged each other, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The most messed up movie that we had in our collection.
Yeah. And we had, well, I remember we were both wearing the same Guinness hat from Target. And
when you actually gave it to me. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I had said, hey, I have Cannibal Holocaust in my car if you want to watch it. And to be honest with you, I didn't care if I got it back because it's a one and done movie.
Right.
But I had wanted to see it for so long after its infamy that, you know, I ended up having to buy it because I couldn't rent it anywhere.
Remember, I had that for like at least 2 weeks, probably longer than that. And I couldn't bring myself to watch it. There's so much, and I know this is a Demons podcast, but just real quick, there's so much urban legend like status with that movie.
Yeah.
It has so much, street cred in the horror community. And I I read about it and I was terrified to watch it. And it took me forever to put that thing in. And I remember when I did, I had to get a 6-pack first. And this was like, 2005? Probably something. So I got a 6-pack of IPAs, which were like all 9%. Like I needed comfort.
Yeah.
To put this thing on because I was so terrified to even put it in. And anyway, I got through it. But anyway, that's how we met. You know, we're not going to delve too much into Cannibal Holocaust. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you've seen it or heard about it, and you probably have your own opinions about that movie. But anyway, so you were a big proponent of Demons before. This is my first viewing, but you were a big fan going in. Yeah,
I saw it when I was about 20, and I was very inebriated the first time I watched it.
Good way to watch this movie.
It really is. And I remember thinking that I just saw one of the most awesome things I've ever seen in my entire life. And the next morning when I woke up, I had to watch it again just to make sure.
Just to make sure it was as cool as you thought it was.
Everything that I remember happening in it actually happened. And I didn't doze off into a surreal territory. But, because it gets pretty surreal.
It definitely does.
Yeah. So, all right. So this is your first viewing. What's your first impression of it?
My first impression is that it's hilarious. So, and if that is my first impression of a movie, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said the same thing for the Friday the 13th part 4 podcast. If a movie can make me laugh, I mean, you've already almost won me over completely. And this movie is really funny. Sometimes unintentionally, actually, a lot of times unintentionally. Just through. I mean, it's an Italian film, so it's dubbed. And, you can sometimes just, just the forced translation.
Yeah.
And we'll get to some of the bigger, most, amusing lines as we go along here. But part of the fun of watching of Godzilla movies is the dubbing and just the bad translations and just how things don't really fit the mouths. And they say things because the actor's talking on screen and they have to fill it somehow. So somebody's like, says something that completely doesn't have to do anything with the scene. Well, you get a little bit of that in this movie. Not as much as in Godzilla movies, but there is a little bit of that.
Yeah, it has a very memorable cast of characters. Before I go into that, brief plot synopsis if you haven't seen this movie already. It is a movie about people that get invited to go to the opening of a movie theater called the Metropole, which is actually in the game Silent Hill.
It was also in downtown Pittsburgh.
It also was in downtown.
Which cracked me up.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the Pittsburgh area remembers Metropole.
Yeah.
That's where I saw the Corey Feldman band, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And that's a story in and of itself, but we'll get there another time. Please continue.
So they go to the movie. There's a lot of weird artifacts in the movie theater lobby that don't seem to put people off, but they get these promo passes to come to the movie. So a lot of people think that they're in like a test screening, or they're trying to get people's reactions to the movie.
Right.
The movie starts with the cast of characters kind of going through the process of going to a movie, and they show a movie that has the same mask from the lobby that one of the women in it cuts her face on. They read some Latin. The theater starts turning people into into demons, but they're kind of zombie-esque, I guess.
It definitely borrows from that genre, I would say.
And then they're trapped in the theater.
Right. Because I just remember, like, this movie starts, and it's like one of my favorite tropes in movies is the dirty subway trope. I love it.
Yeah.
Where people are just on the subway, and there's punk rockers, and there's derelicts, and there's, bums, and she's on this train, or on the subway, I should say, along with like the elderly people. And she's just, I don't know if it was like her first time on a subway or what, but she was terrified.
Yeah.
Or at least mildly uncomfortable.
Yeah, like she's clearly not from the big city.
Right.
And this might be her first subway trip ever. And then she keeps seeing flashes of a guy with half a mask, almost like a Phantom of the Opera type
He looked like,
mask.
like Destro. Like it was a half Destro from G.I. Joe, like this metal face. Like
almost like a Terminator that had half his face blown off.
Right. And so anyway, she was really agitated on this subway. And I don't know. Like there were elderly people on the subway.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, if there's elderly, like, what are you freaking out about? It kind of reminded me, like, do you ever go to like an amusement park, like Kennywood or something, and you're like freaking out, like, oh man, I got to get on this ride. Like, this is scarier than I want to like admit. But then you see like little kids in line.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, I'm a wimp. If
Yeah.
they can do it, clearly I can. Okay,
Yeah.
She's on a subway, I mean, if these old people are on it, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why she had such a problem with it. But anyway, so she gets off the subway, and that's when she encounters what she's been envisioning this whole time, this guy with the metal face, and he finally gives her the ticket to Metropole.
Yes.
And that's when she goes to the movie theater, and they're greeted by the ticket taker, who mysteriously is dressed like Will Ferrell in Elf.
Yeah, she's got an elf-like costume.
And I haven't done the side by side yet. I want to say it's the exact same costume from Elf.
It might be. It might be.
I don't know what. And it starts. I love these Italian movies because they're so bizarre. And it starts like she's in this elf outfit, and she's like checking out her calves, like in the mirror behind her.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? First of all, you don't need a mirror to check out your calves. You can just kind of look down.
Yeah.
It's not like you're checking out your butt or something. Like you can clearly see your calves. Anyway, it was just a bizarre sequence, and she has this like really intense stare throughout the beginning. So, you've seen it a number of times. I haven't. I was sure that she was in on the evil goings on, but as it turns out, when we watched the film, maybe that's not the case. Maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, she took her job very seriously.
And I worked at a movie theater before, and let me tell you, ushers do not care. They're getting stoned in the back. They're getting stoned in the back eating free popcorn. They don't really care about their jobs.
No, not at all. And she's like shining the flashlight on people making out, being like, watch the movie.
Yeah.
And, she's telling people not to smoke in the movie theater because my favorite character lights up a joint. We'll talk about him after the next break. But I think right here is a good place to play a clip. I'm going to kind of play the clip of the movie in the movie. so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. Just bear with me 1 second while I pull that up.
They will make cemeteries, their cathedrals, and tombs your cities. Ooh.
According to an old legend, Nostradamus was buried here. Kind of a fortune teller, a prophet from the 16th century. He predicted a whole mess of things that have come true.
Such as?
Such as, for example, the discovery of Neptune and Uranus, Hitler, world wars, the coming of the demons.
Big deal. That hasn't happened.
Not yet. Still time.
It was this way, right?
Yeah.
What's that?
More tombs.
This way, girls.
These cobwebs. Yuck.
I'm scared.
Watch where you put your feet, girls.
What are you talking about?
Tell him, Joe.
We're the first people to set foot in this crypt in centuries. That hole we came through only fell in this morning. Hey, more tombs. Must have been a real big shot in that fancy one. Hey, look, it's got some kind of seal on it. Bob, give me some light down here. Wait a second.
Come on, let's get out of here. This place is giving me the creeps.
N-O-S.
Sure, Nostradamus. Come on, open it. Hey, use this iron bar. Hey, no bones.
Just an old book and something wrapped in cloth.
Let me see it.
Well, what's it say?
It's in Latin. I can't figure it out. Yes, I can. Wait a second. It's written by Nostradamus. It's something about demons.
Look, bring it with you, but can we go now?
No, just a second. It says here that demons are instruments of evil.
Trick or treat.
Don't do that.
How do I look?
Whoever wears it becomes a demon.
How do you know?
It says here, whoever wears it becomes a demon. And an instrument of evil.
Yeah, sure.
He will spread pestilence and contaminate the world.
I had some notes here, but they're in Latin.
That's the thing. It's great. So he digs up the book, the ancient book. It's in Latin. Oh, man, I can't read this. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I can. He figured it out. He somehow decoded Latin in those few seconds.
Yeah.
Where he was very discouraged that it was Latin to where it's not really a problem that it's Latin.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't know. When I find stuff written in Latin, I usually just try not to read it.
Also, when he says, like, don't touch that or you'll turn into a demon. And he's like, how do you know that? And he's like, because it says if you touch it, you'll turn into a demon.
An instrument of evil.
Like, duh. Yeah. Instrument of evil.
So, yeah, the movie starts getting going. And
I want to say real quick, it's funny to me. Like, this is a very 80s movie, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell by how people are dressed in the crowd and the audience and everything. But it's just funny. Like, people in Italy dressed just like the people in the States did in the 80s.
Yeah, well, this definitely has a very American
feel.
feel.
Dubbing, like, you would just think it was an American film.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the very American soundtrack with...
Fashion pandemic was not just within the United States.
No, everybody was dressed that way. And you know, you had that great soundtrack with Crew, Scorpions, Billy Idol, Rick Springfield. You know, I mean, it feels very American.
It does. And I want to give a character in this film that's kind of introduced towards the beginning. Tony the Pimp.
Yes.
Easily the best character in this movie.
Bobby Rhodes. He is the Italian Mr. T.
He's like the B.A. Baracus of this film, or of Italian cinema, I guess, from what you were telling me.
Yeah, and he's like a big pimp. Star.
He's a pimp in this film.
He's amazing.
And he's got two prostitute friends, Rosemary and... I can't remember the other girl's name. The other girl is the one who actually is the linchpin, or is that Rosemary?
No, Rosemary is the first one that cuts her face on the mask.
It looks like Rick James.
Yeah, Rick James.
Yeah, she looks exactly like Rick James.
Especially when she's a demon.
Which as a demon, is off-putting, but as a prostitute is even more off-putting.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
So, anyway... And I just think it's great because, like, she's the linchpin of the film. Like, basically, there's this like satanic demonic mask hanging in the hallway of the theater, like right in the beginning, where you would like go buy the tickets or get popcorn and stuff. And she puts the mask on and it cuts her face. And Tony the Pimp is quick with his criticism when he says that will teach you to touch things.
Yes.
And I can't do it justice, but he says that'll teach you to touch things. Like,
it's amazing.
Don't touch things. What are you? Hey, don't touch anything. Anyway,
yeah, I feel like that's you at the end of the night.
Well,
you know,
here's the situation. And so from there we go into the movie theater. And this is where the like demonic film plays, which I guess they don't really explain it, but what I guess is like a part of a ritual.
Yeah, it's like some type of ritual.
Right. Now, the only problem with it, and I'm an avid moviegoer, or I was, back when movie theaters were a thing. Remember when movie theaters were a thing?
Yeah.
But, and you've been to countless movies with me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very particular when it comes to my movie settings. And I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm not the toughest guy in the world by any stretch of the imagination.
That's why you keep me along.
I need big friends. I've always needed big friends my entire life because I get myself into trouble. But anyway, if you talk during a movie, I will not accept it. It's all I need to say. I will not accept it. And if you don't quiet down, things will happen. Anyway, this is a nightmare scenario for me.
Yeah.
Because it's a basically empty theater. There's probably, think about the last time you went to a movie theater, right? It holds like what?
Probably like that.
200
that's a
people?
big theater. It's got a balcony, so there's like 400.
So there's only
seats.
probably 30 people, 40 people that are invited to this movie. Yet the most awkward movie chair sitting, like when you're sitting by yourself and then somebody sits right next to you or right behind you.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't deal with that. And then
you've been social distancing in movie theaters.
I have for a long time. So everyone's like, so that's just awkward. And then the highlight for me, like, listen, before I say this, there's nothing wrong with blind people going to movie theaters. It's fine. If you have some kind of auditory experience and whatever, do what you got to do. But there is a part in this film where it's one of the guests is a blind guy.
Yes. And when asked about why there's a blind guy at the movie theater, Argento said, we thought it would be funny.
And it was. Because I never saw this movie. And like, I'm just like, what is the blind guy doing in the movie? And he's watching it. Oh, and he brings like a girl with him.
Yeah, it's his niece.
So she's going to tell him what happens. Think if you're sitting in front of this guy. All right. And the movie starts And he goes to the niece, tell me what's happening. Like, immediately. So she was tasked to like basically tell him every frame of every movie, every part of the movie.
Yeah.
And if I was in earshot of this person, I would have melted. I would have exploded. Like, can you imagine?
Demon. You would have been.
I would have turned into the demon. I would have been demonized for going after this poor blind guy. But geez, man, like.
Well, the niece does meet somebody in the theater.
Well, first off, I mean, yes. Okay, so she does her best to explain the film to him, but then some man who you so eloquently put it, looks like the mayor from Ghostbusters, sits down right next to her. And you're like, okay, this is odd. And I remember even seeing it when I was watching it, and I was going, okay, what's going to happen here? He's going to try to kill her or something? No, the exact opposite. She can't resist this guy. This old man. Yeah. And she starts just making out with him. And her poor uncle, whatever he is still trying to figure out what's going on with the movie, even though he can't see it. It's just,
it's kind of awkward.
It's upsetting.
Well, they do end up leaving him.
Right. They go to like make out behind curtains.
Yeah.
Which is just like, lady, get some standards.
Yeah.
Get some standards. Not only in what the guys look like, but like where you do this.
Yeah.
Right? I felt like Tony in Montana, like, you take my sister to make out in the toilet. Like, it's kind of like take her somewhere out, like behind a curtain.
Or at least the toilet.
Right. At least. Right. So he's not in earshot. You guys just like attacking each other with your faces.
Yeah. And then there's the very awkward, I don't think it would work in real life, strangling is how they end up.
Right. So they're kissing. Like, they're still making out. And, okay, and I apologize, but the Rick James prostitute, it was the one that
Rosemary.
She's the one that first scratched her face on the mask and becomes like a demon, right? So these two people are making out in these red curtains. She ties like a noose around both of their necks to like strangle them. But the only problem with that is, I mean, picture two people making out. Where does the rope? Where does the rope go? The back of their necks.
It's like she would have had
at
least a figure.
That's not the correct way to strangle somebody.
Yeah, and
putting pressure on the back of your neck doesn't strangle you.
No,
it's just that's not how you do it.
No, not at all.
It succeeded.
Yeah.
Although I guess maybe
it didn't, because she ended up having to hang him.
Maybe they were. It was a more like smushing their faces together thing.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I don't.
I mean, it didn't seem like they were stopping even making out. It like wasn't even bothering him that much.
But yeah, they were still kind of kissing while he was trying to kill them.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna go.
So then we all right, so at this point, like, the killings are happening. And Tony, the pimp's other female friend,
went to check on...
Well, previously had checked on Rosemary. And,
but she escapes.
Well, she did get a scratch on her throat.
Yeah.
And that is what kind of starts a demonic transformation with her.
Yes.
And
that's one of the most famous parts of the movie.
Which part? Which part is that?
When the other prostitute turns into...
Oh, yes. That was a great scene.
Into a demon.
Well, just before we get to that, because there's a great scene before that transformation where she's behind the movie screen You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's the same girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what's leading up to the scene.
Right.
She's trying to break out of the...
She's been attacked already, and the demon transformation is kind of already starting.
Yeah.
And there's murder happening on the movie screen, but she's behind it screaming, and the audience thinks, the movie audience thinks that the screaming is actually coming from the movie, not from her, from the person herself.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's very reminiscent of Scream 2. I think that's the one, right?
Yeah, Scream 2.
It's very meta in that regard.
Yeah, and then she claws her way out of the screen. She has this transformation scene, and I think you said it was almost like an American Werewolf in London or the Howling level.
Yes, it's the American Werewolf in London of demon transformation scenes.
Yeah, it's long, it's nasty.
Find another one. No, but it's convincing too. Like her teeth are popping out.
Yeah.
To reveal like demonic fangs, and her hands are changing, and her eye. It's really well done for something that required no CGI. It was all practical effects, and it really was a surprise to me.
Yeah,
I mean that scene honestly isn't talked about more often. It should be talked about in the same breath as the werewolf transformation in American Werewolf.
Yeah, it's definitely like a high point of the movie in terms of its effects, and it's just a really cool sequence. At this point, the audience tries to escape, only to find out that they're bricked in. So they end up trying to go to the projection booth to...
That was an effective scene, by the way. Like, they're trying to get out, and they're opening up the doors that they walked through previously, but now it's just cement brick.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty effective. And basically every entrance and exit is blocked off with cement. Like somebody bricked them in while they were watching a movie.
Yeah.
That was really effective.
Yeah. They decide to stop the movie. Tony the Pimp takes charge. Actually, I think I'm going to play this clip right here. They're going to discuss their plan to stop the movie.
Cut it, baby. That'll teach you to touch things. Be quiet! Quiet! Listen to me! Quiet! Let's find the emergency exit! Oh, come on, we'll use that! She's right. She put on that mask and scratched herself. Get it? Because of that scratch, she became a demon. An instrument of evil. Like they said in the damn movie, you heard them. Right?
Yes.
We gotta stop it. Believe me, we gotta stop the movie! Where's the projection booth? Right, we'll all go up there together. If we stick together, no one gets hurt. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Get out of the way. Hey, open up! Open the door and let us in. I said open it! Oh, there's no need. Shit, another door. Give me a hand. Smash everything! Smash everything! Smash everything!
All right, so Tony the Pimp, motivational speaker.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, eat your heart out. I would follow this guy into the flames of hell.
I would. And then, they get up to the projection booth. It's all electronic. Nobody's running it. He's mad that nobody's even been in this room. Ever.
Not even the people that set up the equipment, apparently.
Yeah, not even the people that set up the equipment. So he's just like, all right, well, I guess we just smash everything. Smash it all.
Smash it all up.
But yeah, Tony the Pimp, one of the best characters in genre films.
I would, he could get me to do whatever, I think. I would follow that man into battle, I think,
I would too.
So around this time, there's also this guy who's kind of separate from the main cast, and he's looking for his girlfriend, Hannah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a subplot. He's always looking for Hannah.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird subplots in here.
Right. He runs up to Tony the Pimp. I think immediately after this scene, he's going, Hannah. He goes up to Tony the Pimp, and Tony the Pimp's just like, yo, what is your deal? And he's like, I lost my girl. Right? He lost his girl. But it's like, if you look back at what happened to Liz, who was the blind man's niece, it's not hard to lose your girl when you have guys that look like the mayor of Ghostbusters just walking around. Like, they can just, hashtag watch your girl. Like, they can be taken from you in Italy in the 80s.
Yeah.
In a movie theater. So, and then we're introduced to the
cokeheads,
the outsider, hardcore punk cokeheads, right?
Yeah, the first scene is them complaining about the car that the leader of the group stole. Then it follows to their cocaine, which is in a can of Coke that they're snorting out of a straw. They're fighting over it, and it spills.
Which is the classic way to snort cocaine. It's out of a cocaine.
Yeah. There's a scene about how to retrieve cocaine once it's been spilled. And it's a really long scene where they're going through the car with razors trying to get it off everything.
Well, that's when we're introduced to the woman who looks like the feral kid from the Road Warrior.
Yeah.
In the back seat. And they're tasked with, like, they spill the Coke and they have to, like, clean it up, like, meticulously and put it in this can. And then, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to bring it up. Should I even bring up the razor blade seduction?
Yes, the razor blade seduction.
Where he's... Okay, so all these... I don't even know. Okay. So she's wearing a shirt that reveals cleavage, let's say. And there is just, white powder sprinkled generously all around that area. So this guy is trying to clean it up. He's trying to, like, gather what's on her body and back into the can, but he's doing it with, like, a razor blade, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing it in kind of a seductive manner, I guess. And she's doing the whole bite your lip from, like, 50 Shades of Grey. Like, she's just, oh my God, it's like blowing her mind. At the last moment, he, like, cuts her. He, like, slices her.
Breast.
Okay, thanks.
That's the term is breast.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
They feel like sandbags.
Yeah.
Anyway. But, like, I thought that was going to, like, introduce that this guy was, like, a demon.
Yeah.
Or like, somehow integral to the plot. No. That's just, like, what he does to, like, get girls. And she, after, like, getting mildly annoyed about it, would seem to be okay with him for the rest of the movie, which
yeah, because then the cops pull up while they're stealing another car, which doesn't seem to be better than the first car.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, and then the cops chase them, and they end up hiding behind the movie theater. We get the first glimpse that the demons have made it out of the theater. We all with the cops, and then the punks are now in the theater. So we have those scenes,
right? And from here on out, it's basically just them trying to escape the theater.
Yeah,
and they get picked off one by one. Although, special shout out to the scene. And these characters are kind of interchangeable. There's a blonde main character. He's one of the guys that lasts to the end. And he turns sort of into a demon fighting, like Ash Williams from the Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the movie. And it's fantastic.
He has to kill his friend.
Right.
With a katana that's in the movie theater for no real reason.
Why would you have a katana in a movie theater? And the friend who's like has the demonic blood in him says, what's he say? Is your true real act as a friend? Kill me with this.
Yes.
Right? And gives him a sword.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that, with you a million times now. Like,
yeah.
Like, help me lift this grill to the yard. I'm like, as your last act as a friend, kill me with this.
Yeah.
I'll give you a bottle opener or something. But anyway, so that happens. But after that,
right before that, we forget the demon birth in the girl. The girl gives Dario Argento's older daughter Fiore.
I forgot about that.
Who is the
that's
heroine?
A spotlight. That is a spotlight. And actually, if you Google anything about this movie, that demon is prominent. That's the demon that actually pops up.
Yeah,
is the demon that like emerges from her back womb.
Yeah,
she has a back womb, and it creates this demon. So
it's like kind of like a reverse chest burster almost.
Yeah, right. But out the back womb. And I remember when we were watching this thinking, okay, every other demon in this movie is an infected human that turns into a demon. So this is like a pure demon. So there must be something special about this demon, or this is what the ritual was all about.
Yeah.
Or something. Unfortunately, that's not answered. Yeah. This is the first and the last time you see that little demon that pops out of her back womb.
Yeah, it's like they did this amazing effect shot and did nothing with it. But, you know,
I mean, not story-wise, at least. I mean, it's a cool effect.
It is.
But in the sense of the story, if they could just impregnate your back, whatever. So then they go into... okay, so the blonde guy... And I'm sorry, man. It's an Italian film. If you're better at remembering Italian film names than I am, you know, more power to you. But the blonde main character, instead of a chainsaw and a boomstick like Ash, she gets like a dirt bike and a katana.
Yeah.
And he's just running down the theater, like running on the theater steps. And just like chopping these demons in half. And it was a really fun sequence. I liked it a lot.
It is. And I remember watching that the first time. I was on a couple of different substances. And I remember my mind being like, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
This is probably the scene where you had to wake up the next day going, did I see what I thought I saw?
Did I see what I thought I saw?
Did I actually see somebody riding down movie seats on like a scooter?
Yeah.
I called it a dirt bike, but that's giving it more. No, it's like a scooter.
It's more of a dirt bike.
All right, fair enough. Chopping these demons left and right. You did a great job.
Yeah, and that sets up the finale. And if you haven't seen this movie before, I hate spoiling stuff like this, but you gotta discuss it. Out of nowhere.
How can you not?
Yeah. You hear a helicopter whirring in the background, and then all of a sudden it crashes through the roof of the ceiling of the movie theater.
For no apparent reason.
For no real reason. And so that gives our heroes some time to escape. They can't fly the helicopter because it's too badly damaged, but they do use the blades to chop up some of the remaining demons.
Right.
Which is pretty awesome.
It is. I thought for a second they were going for like an homage of Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
where they like the propeller like chops off the zombies the top of his head. I don't know. But like it's unrealistic as that is. A helicopter just kind of crashes through the roof, and anyway. More than that, there's a grappling gun.
Yes. With a winch.
Right. And it takes him approximately, I think I timed it, 2 minutes and 45 seconds to figure out how to use the grappling gun.
Yeah, and...
like, I'm not handy. I'm not a handy person. I can't do much for you if you need, like, a step fixed or a fence built. And I definitely don't think I could handle a grappling gun in 2 minutes and 4. I think it would take me at least an hour
Well, they did figure out Latin in like 2 minutes or 2 seconds in the movie.
Good point. Maybe it is actually within this universe.
Yeah.
That you
just
I didn't think of that. So at 1 minute you don't understand Latin, the next you do. And then in that same universe, what would a grappling gun? What kind of challenge would that pose?
Yeah. I mean, it's just so
you look at it, you don't know what to do with it. 2 minutes later, you're MacGyver.
Yeah, they go up and there's a showdown with the guy who with the metal face.
They never explained that guy to my satisfaction, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just that Michael Soavi is a creepy looking dude.
Yeah, even without the metal phantom of the opera mask.
I mean, he's in Deep Red, and he's kind of a scary guy to begin with, and so I think they just wanted to include that. But I mean, he is also the star of the movie too, the one that can read Latin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's probably like, well, you've obtained my skills.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, you've obtained my skills in learning Latin and grappling hooks. So you can, it's like now we must worthy adversary.
Right. So they end up like shoving a nail in this guy's eye. Like they force him down into the ground. Like part of the floor is already like upended, so there's all these steel bolts and nails sticking out of the ground. And they jam him like right in the face with it, and that's what kills him.
Yeah, and he has a pretty violent demise. And they finally take like a deep breath, and then they look. That's around.
Cool, but like I was expecting like some answers there.
Yeah.
Who are you? Blah blah. But anyway, yeah, they at that point they thought they were in the clear until they look across the street and they see that this demonic infection wasn't just happening in the theater; it's actually widespread. It's happening in the hospital across the street. It's happening on the street down below. Like this is a Night of the Living Dead situation where there's like a demonic pandemic.
Yeah, and they run through the streets and they're being chased by demons, and they're picked up by like a family in a Jeep with like guns.
Yeah, the most opportune, like, wow, we find ourselves with a family that has a satchel full of guns.
Yeah, and then they're like, what do they say?
They say something like, like this is our chance to like start a new life.
Yeah, so they're gonna go west or Berlin. This was in Berlin.
Wherever they are.
Yeah, it's an Italian movie.
Germany, Italy, potato, whatever.
Yeah, but they get in there. The family's shooting demons, and then the credits start, and then they stop. One of the main characters turns into a demon that we've been following. The girl turns into a demon, and then like the kid just shotguns her, and they throw her to the side of the road.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie.
I mean, it sets up countless sequels, which, as you were saying, actually it does.
Yeah,
and some like 2 are official, and like 5 aren't.
There's only one official sequel.
What is it with Italian movies that just do these unofficial sequels?
Yeah, there's like a bizarre correlation with
it's always Italian films.
Yeah, it is. And they do like unofficial sequels, like one of my favorite movies, Zombie.
Right. Which is a fake sequel to what? Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead.
Which is like one of the greatest zombie movies of all time.
It is.
No, I'm talking about Zombie 2.
Yeah.
Zombie 2 is one of the great zombie movies of all time.
Yeah,
and it's a fake sequel.
It's a fake sequel to Dawn of the Dead.
It doesn't even need to be.
No.
Anyway.
No, it doesn't.
Here nor there.
But yeah, Bava makes Demons 2, which is, a pretty good follow-up. It's not the first movie at all. It doesn't have that special charm. It doesn't have like nearly as good of humor as the first one. You know, you get to see Tony the Pimp back, but he's a different character.
Does he act the same?
Yeah, he's the same character, but he's a different character.
Does he last the whole movie or just?
No.
I'm in. I'll buy a ticket just for that guy.
Yeah.
He's that good.
He is. Then they made Demons 3, which was actually a movie called The Ogre. There was also another Demons 3, which was produced by Argento, which was called The Church, which also doesn't really have anything to do with it. And then there's two more. There's one called The Sect. There was another one called...
Anything connecting any of these films from this?
No. Other than they just like the name Demons because it's popular.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Sovey, who was Metalface, directed Demons 7, which turned out to be the movie Cemetery Man or Della Morte.
So the guy that had the Destro mask,
yes,
ended up making a great movie associated with this film that has absolutely nothing to do with it.
No.
But was advertised as a sequel.
It was. You know, I love Cemetery Man. I can't wait to do that episode here. It has literally nothing to do with demons. But they marked it as Demons 95 or Demons 7. It was kind of bizarre.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Anyway, as a first-time viewer of this movie, and I know you've loved this since your early 20s, first time I've ever seen it, or at the very least, the first time I remember watching it. I don't know. I give it high marks. I think it's a really good movie. I am appalled that I didn't see this sooner. It's one of these movies that, like, if I had grown up on it, I'd be feeling like nostalgic about it right now. You know?
Yeah.
There's just something about it that it's almost like there's something very Evil Dead about this movie.
Well, yeah, and one of the best reviews of this movie, or best ways to explain it, is that instead of a cabin, it's Evil Dead in a movie theater.
Yeah, that's a really good, and you know, and it's not 50-50 horror comedy, but
like Evil Dead.
There's enough goofiness that it's just like you can't help but laugh. I mean, I laughed multiple times during watching this movie, and you know, when I'm watching a horror movie, it's nice to just be able to just you don't want to just be on, you know, Dread Street all the time and, like, you know. Yeah, it's kind of it's a joy-filled movie, and you know, I watched this maybe a few months ago. I was having a crap day. I hadn't seen it in maybe 10 years. And pleasant surprise.
Well, you know, I don't have the same things that I did the first time I watched this to, like, enjoy it. I mean, I don't even think I had beer in the house at that point. I, like, just sat there and watched it sober, and I was smiling ear to ear.
That's high praise.
You know?
It is. Yeah, like I said, I had a fun time watching it, and I would recommend this to a moderate horror fan without hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more gory than what some people might be used to. I mean,
and a little bit more European as well.
Yeah, it's an Italian.
We didn't even talk about the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack is awesome.
It's Motley Crue. It like takes it from just being like, you know, some people are into Argento, some people aren't. All right, and some people are just not into like the super Italian films, but the soundtrack in this movie, which is Motley Crue, Billy Idol, I'm still confused about how they got all these songs into this movie. You kind of explain it to me. It still doesn't make any sense. It's because it's a very obscure film. How did they get the rights to all these songs? But they did, and it's in this film, and it takes it from being just like your average dubbed Italian horror film to, like, okay, this is a fun 80s movie too.
Yeah, it's got a great soundtrack.
It's got the time capsule aspect to it, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and it's got a good score, too. Claudio Simonetti
Sure,
of
why not?
Goblin.
Goblin, really?
Yeah, of Goblin fame, did the score for this, and so, it does have that feel for, that from Suspiria and Inferno to, Dawn of the Dead, obviously.
Sure. Well, anyway, great movie. I enjoyed it tremendously. I'd watch it again, which, going into a horror film you haven't seen ever, that's hard to come by these days. Usually, when you're a seasoned horror vet, you already know the ones you want to watch. And no, this is one I would add in.
Yeah.
And, I would recommend this one.
Yeah. I'm a pretty big fan of this movie, so I'm going to recommend this one highly too. It's one of those ones. It's got something for everybody. I mean, it's got some great gore, great practical effects. It's got some good humor in it, some genuinely funny parts of it. I mean, the insults that the Coke friend, like the Coke gang,
the Coke frat boys,
hurl at each other are hilarious.
We don't know if that's like in the writing or just bad English translation.
It isn't.
But either way, it works.
It works. It's great. Like that'll teach you to touch things. So it's got some unintentionally funny lines in there. It's got like some real suspense in it at some points. And it's got, absurdity in it too. I mean, you cannot get away from a lot of the absurdity in the film.
Yeah. So I guess we both recommend it.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it from Paul and Adam. We'll see you next time with Driveway Drive-In.
Yep.
And here is to swimming with bow-legged women.
To a new world of gods and monsters. We'll catch you next time.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.